Hey y'all, Knox here with the American Suppressor Association. Welcome to the February 2025 Suppressor Policy Update, and boy, do we have some updates. The President issued the first pro-Second Amendment executive order in history. Kash Patel is the new acting director of the ATF. We've got movement in 3 circuits on the litigation front, and we testified at another legislative hearing in Guam. But the cherry on top, several ASA sponsors have stepped up in a big way. I know we normally start with NFA transfer times, but this month we're going to dive straight into the executive order and go from there. On Friday, February 7th, President Trump signed the first pro-Second Amendment executive order in our nation's history, and we are over the moon about it. The order effectively reverses the unconstitutional firearms restrictions imposed by the Biden administration and directs Attorney General Pam Bondi to conduct a comprehensive review of all executive actions, regulations, guidance, and policies implemented under the previous administration. By March 10th, the DOJ will present a plan to the President outlining steps to safeguard the Second Amendment rights of all Americans. Of particular importance to ASA is the EO's focus on firearm transfer applications, which explicitly includes Form 4 applications for suppressors. This presents an unparalleled opportunity for the DOJ and ATF to further reduce suppressor transfer times and establish lasting reforms to streamline the process. Additionally, the order directs a review of the government's legal positions in ongoing and potential litigation impacting Americans' Second Amendment rights. This opens the door for the administration to weigh in on cases such as the ASAF and Silencer Shop-backed lawsuit challenging Illinois' suppressor ban. Furthermore, the review includes an examination of firearm and ammunition classifications, providing an avenue to reassess past ATF rulings on suppressor parts that lack logical or legal justification. We are committed to working directly with the DOJ and the White House to ensure that these critical issues remain at the forefront of the administration's review, and we will continue to advocate for meaningful reforms to protect and advance the rights of suppressor owners nationwide. On Monday, February 24th, Kash Patel was sworn in as the acting director of ATF. By nominating Patel as acting director, President Trump is sending an unambiguous message. Political partisanship has no place in federal law enforcement. Not only is Acting Director Patel an ardent defender of the Second Amendment, his tenure represents an historic opportunity to end the ATF's weaponization and realign with its core mission to uphold the rule of law. He will undoubtedly make it a priority to rein in the unelected bureaucrats that have had their boots on the necks of law-abiding gun owners for far too long. He can make sure that the country benefits from an ATF that focuses on fighting violent crime, not trying to impose gun control by administrative fiat. Nobody has seen this more than the NFA community, which is why we are so thrilled to have Acting Director Patel at the helm. We look forward to working directly with him and his team to further streamline the NFA process and advance your Second Amendment rights. According to ATF, as of January 1st, E-Form 4s averaged 20 days for individuals and 34 days for NFA trusts. Since then, ATF has actually changed up how they report the transfer numbers on their website. Instead of getting updates on the 1st of every month, ATF is now publishing the average processing times for all applications processed during the previous month. So for the month of January, E-Form 4s averaged 42 days for individuals and 48 days for trusts, a pretty significant increase. When we spoke with the NFA division about it, they informed us that the jump in wait times happened because they were finally able to take action on a large number of applications that had very old pending NICS checks. Remember, ATF doesn't run the NICS checks for NFA items, the FBI does. And because NICS checks for NFA items aren't subject to the Brady Act, the 3-day statutory requirement to process the NICS checks also doesn't apply, meaning the FBI often takes their time processing background checks for NFA applications, even though it's the exact same check for rifles, pistols, and shotguns. This is one area where Acting Director Patel could make a huge and immediate splash, as he is now in charge of both the ATF and the FBI. We will keep you updated as we work on that. According to our friends at Silencer Shop, the wait range for their customers is 1 to 35 days, with a median of just 2 days for individuals and 15 days for trusts. As always, we note that these average and median times doesn't mean everyone is going to get their application approved that quickly. There will be applications that take longer because that's just how averages and medians work. If you frequently experience delays when purchasing a suppressor, here are 2 things that could help. First, include your Social Security number on your Form 4. That helps prove you are who you say you are and is especially helpful if you have a common name. The second thing you can do is apply for a unique personal identification number, also known as a UPIN. UPens are assigned by the FBI to help people who often experience delays or wrongful denials quickly prove that they are not a prohibited person. I think this goes without saying, but if you have a UPen, make sure you include it. This month, ASA saw a flurry of increased sponsorship starting with our friends at Yankee Hill Machine. YHM has been involved with ASA for over a decade, helping us host multiple suppressor demonstrations in Massachusetts and other New England states over the years. Oh, and did we tell you that they just launched a new shotgun suppressor? Pretty cool stuff. Go check that out. When we sat down with YHM owner Chris Graham at SHOT Show, he committed to support ASA through a $100,000 sponsorship. Chris and everyone at YHM, thank you so much for your steadfast support. It truly is a privilege to work with you. When we first met Guns.com about 10 or 15 years ago, they were a news website that focused on firearms and Second Amendment related articles. Over the years, our friends there, including Chris Eager, have helped promote suppressors and suppressor advocacy through their writing, which has been a tremendous boon in our efforts to normalize suppressors. Today, Guns.com is much more than just a leading firearms news website. They're also a leading retailer of both guns and suppressors, and they just joined the American Suppressor Association in a big way, with a $60,000 Tier 1 sponsorship to help fuel our advocacy. We are thrilled to have Guns.com on our team and look forward to working together to advance suppressor rights across the country. The Human Exposure Workshop, also known as Huxworks Safety Company, came in big this year with a $40,000 donation to ASA. For anyone not familiar with Huxworks, they invented what is known as flow-through technology, providing signature reduction while mitigating gas blowback. The ASA team visited Hux at their facility in Mill Creek, Utah, and learned all about their mission to advance the health and safety of their customers through an array of products in addition to their line of suppressors. They've got some amazing projects in the pipeline that we genuinely can't wait to see. Thank you to Huxworks for your continued support and for stepping up big this year. In January, we told you about Judge Dugan's status hearing on Anderson v. Raoul, the ASA Foundation and Silencer Shot-backed lawsuit challenging the Illinois ban on suppressors. At the time, Judge Dugan scheduled another status hearing for April 15th and indicated that if the Seventh Circuit had not yet opined on the pending challenge to the Illinois assault weapons ban, he would be ready to promptly issue a decision. Well, since then, Judge Dugan has moved the date to April 9th, and rather than a mere status update, the hearing will address the state of Illinois' motion for a judgment on the pleadings. For those of you who have been tracking, this is the most action we've had in the case since it was consolidated in August of 2023. We will be sure to keep you updated after the hearing. Stay tuned for more. On February 3rd, the Ninth Circuit issued an order indicating that it would likely appoint pro bono counsel to Gary Sanchez, a pro se litigant challenging the ban on suppressors in California. The case, Sanchez v. Bonta, was initiated by Mr. Sanchez after he was denied permission to make his own suppressor. Cooper & Kirk, the same law firm retained by the ASA Foundation and Silencer Shop for Anderson v. Raoul, reached out to Mr. Sanchez. After speaking with him, he agreed to let Cooper & Kirk represent him alongside attorneys for the California Rifle and Pistol Association. That means there are now 2 active cases, both led by Cooper & Kirk, challenging the constitutionality of state-level suppressor bans. We expect the Ninth Circuit to put up a heck of a fight, but remain optimistic the suppressors will come out on top in Sanchez v. Bonta. On February 6th, a 3-judge panel in the Fifth Circuit issued a ruling in U.S. v. Peterson, stating that suppressors are not arms and therefore are not protected by the Second Amendment. In short, we could not disagree more. Suppressors are arms, especially when you consider that the act that is restricted is the use of a suppressor in conjunction with a firearm. There are no restrictions on the use of suppressors for automobiles. In fact, their use is required. We may not call them silencers or suppressors, but at the end of the day, a muffler is the exact same thing, just used in a different application. Thankfully, Cooper & Kirk was able to speak with the defendant's counsel, who agreed to bring them on to help petition the Fifth Circuit for an en banc review. We plan on watching this case very closely and will keep you up to speed with any updates. At 10 a.m. on February 26th, debate on Guam's Hearing Protection Act of 2025 was heard by the Committee on Public Safety, Emergency Management, and Guam National Guard. Adjusting for East Coast time, ASA Foundation board member Dr. Adam Mellenbacher and I testified at 7 p.m. on February 25th in support of Senator William Parkinson's legislation. You may recall back in 2021, Senator Tony Atta introduced similar legislation that passed the legislature by a 7-6 margin. Unfortunately, Governor Guerrero vetoed the bill when it got to her desk. This time, Senator Parkinson, a Democrat, will likely receive the support he needs from the 9 Republican members of the legislature to pass the bill. Our hope is that the legislation passes quickly and that the governor signs the bill into law. However, if that does not happen, we believe there may be enough votes to override a second veto. Special thanks to Senator Parkinson and Vice Chair Atta for their leadership on the issue, as well as Chairman Gumatautau for hosting the hearing and allowing us to participate. We look forward to helping the law-abiding citizens of Guam gain access to these common-sense safety devices. If you like what we're doing and want to support our work, click the link below or visit us at asamember.com. That's asamember.com to join or donate to ASA today. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.